Today, in this video, I will talk about how to choose a CNC machine and where to choose a CNC machine. How to choose a CNC machine is coming with a lot of criteria, and I would give you some hints so you will consider things that you could have forgotten. So the first one, of course, is your budget, but it depends on you. Second one is the space where you want to welcome this machine. And with the space is coming the surroundings, the neighboring. So basically, if you are living in a flat, you can forget the CNC machine. It's really too noisy, especially when you are milling some raw material and you are making some raw tool pass. It's gonna to make a lot of noise. Even if my machine is really quiet, sometimes I have to wear this type of. The story of space is really important because it defines entirely your project. Of course, you can guess that if you have a room with, let's say, 8 or 10 square meters and only a simple door, you have to choose a small machine or a do-it-yourself machine. You can choose a bigger one, but that will be a do-it-yourself machine. And generally, a do-it-yourself machine will never be rigid as this one pieces machine all in steel. It's not the same. Or you're gonna have to go through and to drop your machine inside the room or the workshop. Of course, here in this basement, I have an access by a garage door with 2 meters and 20 centimeters. So of course, I can drop a bigger machine. This story of space is also about the spoilboard dimension that you want because you have some projects in mind. So if we talk about hobbyists that are making some radio control aircraft, I would say, in my opinion, that the right spot is 1.5 meters by 60 centimeters with Z. So the Z is the height between the spoilboard and your bit, 20 centimeters. Most of the time, but it's already quite big machine in a way. And other things to consider, and that's coming with the power. And the power is the spindle. So the spindle with 2200 watts generally are coming with the average electricity that you have at home, 220 volts in Europe. If you want a more powerful spindle, it's likely that you will need to ask a more powerful fee to your supplier. So in Europe, it's 400 volts, and then it costs. So you need to think about this because this will be an additional cost. There are two costs in the electricity if you upgrade your installation. The first one is for the supplier to drop the main wire to your installation, so it costs. And secondly, probably you will have to use a professional to upgrade your installation to fit the 400 volts, and that's cost. As soon as you start to have a bigger machine, it's not only about the spindle. Maybe you need to have some vacuum table, some compressor, a blower, and of course your wife is cooking, your kids are playing with the TV, and then you will have some problem with your installation. Your project is also linked to the materials that you want to mill. If it's about steel, forget it right away. It's not for hobbyists. It's for professional. I have a neighbor. This is his business, and the machine are weighing 2, 5, 10, or 20 tons. And if you consider a really heavy machine, you also need to think about which floor do I have. Because if your machine is weighing, let's say you found out one second hand for nice price, 2 or 3 tons, maybe you need to think about, is my floor is gonna to support all of this? The machines that are not really rigid are unlikely to mill hard material. We don't speak about metal, but aluminum or some brass or copper or something like this. Or they're gonna to do this with a lot of inaccuracy and slowly. So if you want a machine that is milling fast, very accurately, hard stuff, and with big dimension, so the budget will go up. That will work like this 100% of the time. In the space, you need to consider that you have to turn around the machine. When you drop a machine, when you install the machine, you need to think about, could I make a little turn? Because simply you want to have access laterally in the back, you have maybe some maintenance, or you need to refine something. And if you put this machine against a wall, it's not really comfortable. The second thing is about the accessory. Maybe you don't have the budget. You need an aspiration, maybe in the future, a filtration, or maybe a compressor. You need to let some room to some improvement and to some option in the future, even if you haven't considered or you don't have the budget. Where to buy a CNC machine? You couldn't avoid to think about Chinese machine because the prices are so interesting that you will think about this. I didn't, and I will explain you why. First reason is now transportation are more expensive than before the COVID crisis. Additionally, when the machine arrives to the port, you need to pay some money to a company that will manage and handle your machine at the port and deal with the documents. And after, you need to organize the transportation from the port to your home. And normally, the postal service will drop the machine in front of your home, in front of, not exactly where you want inside your home. So if it's really heavy machine, you will have to deal with this D-Day. That's the first thing. Second thing is, okay, you're gonna to buy a CNC machine in China. If you are an entrepreneur and you have a lot of CNC machine, it's likely that you will go to China to visit the factory. But most of hobbyists will never go. And there are tons and tons of go-between. You don't know them. It's likely that the machine will be delivered, but when everything is paid, the machine has to be sent. You will never heard about this guy. Never. So if you have any troubles, any technical question, you need additional documentation, you are done. The third reason why I didn't go, and that's really the reason, it's because it's like a lottery. And the lottery is, this machine is coming from far, drop it at your home, and now, is it working or not? If it's not working because the motor is off or not connected, it's not a big deal. But now, if the frame is twisted, if the rays are not really properly installed or whatever, you are done because you're not gonna to send back this machine to China, and you will start a lot of fight to make some claims and so on. You are in trouble, and the machine is here, and you have blocked your budget for this machine, and the space your workshop, your room is now busy with this machine. And so that's a nightmare. And I absolutely wanted to avoid this. There is a solution to address this issue is to use, you have to pay for this guy, a guy that will be an expert and he will visit your machine into the factory. And he will make a report. And now if there are some problems, you can make some claims and use this report. But you are already engaged because when you start to deal with these people, you have to pay. I remember maybe it's 1/3 of the total amount, and the second 1/3 maybe before the delivery. I don't know how it works exactly, but you are already in trouble because part of your money is already engaged. So I forgot totally the Chinese words. To me, that was too risky. The second thing that you could think about is the local supplier. So I decided, okay, I will deal with this local supplier. I know that the price are higher, really higher, but there is a service. So in a way, that's normal. I contacted the local supplier 30 kilometers away of my home. No answer. 2 months. After 2 months, a lady called me, and she was obviously secretary, knowing nothing about technical stuff. No answer to my question, nothing. I was expecting to meet the guy, to go to his shop, to his workshop, to discuss with him, to see the machine, and to have some answer to my technical question, to all my questions. And she was just trying to change a line on the invoice because I talked about an option, and she made a second invoice she sent to me, and that was all. And after 4 months, a man called me that was the boss. He was knowing everything about technical question, and I thought, okay, why I need this man? Why is this guy? Because he's obviously so busy just to sell and to deliver this machine. He has no time to discuss and to address my question. Of course, normally there will be a guarantee of 1 year. But if this guy don't have any time to talk with me, he will have no time probably to come to repair something. He will try to delay everything. So the service is not existent, where you need to pay almost twice the price for no service. I really forgot about this option. So when you live in America, you most likely will try to find machine in America, Australia in Australia, and in Europe, we try to find in Europe. So for example, there are some nice CNC makers in England. But now England is out, UK is out of our market. So for obvious taxes reason, I prefer to choose in Europe. Why I've chosen China likely type of, because this is likely a type of China machine. But because this is most of the machine on the market, the parts or complete machine are coming from China. Even if the European makers, most of them are telling that, oh, we did this, but most of the time it's done with Chinese parts. Or maybe my local French supplier that was machine coming, they were coming from China, 100%. It's not doesn't mean that's bad. What I want to say is there are some advantage to choose such type of machine because you can get some parts quite easily, and it will be not really expensive. So you can maintain your machine by yourself. That's what I want to say. Don't choose some really proprietary machine that are linked to a brand, and especially the electronical stuff, cards are totally proprietary, and so you will be in trouble. So if you, for example, decide to, so we need to talk about also a fourth option, which is the second-hand market. And I didn't want to buy a second-hand machine, and the reason was I'm just a newbie. I know nothing. So all do I know if the machine is twisted or not? I don't really know. So the second option market was not an option for me. And secondly, I'm telling you that some machine has some really proprietary stuff, and you need to ask to this company to come and to repair, and the bill is in €1,000, $1,000. If you are an hobbyist, that's It's not an option. You don't want to pay for such money. Even if the machine looked like to be a good deal in the beginning because you had access to really nice like professional machine, you will suffer later because you are an hostage now of such companies. Ask a question, drop some comments if you want on the commentary section. See you soon.